why we chose to have one. Briefly mentioned it, maybe I didn't, maybe didn't hear me, but we're looking at the borrowers and schools and expected timeline, and to expedite this process, we want to get these in as soon as possible. We want evidence while it's fresh. We want to know right away when the school is doing something inappropriate so that we can take the appropriate kinds of actions. We're throwing 2 and 2 out there. We're interested in your response. We believe that statute of limitations isn't working. We really do. And so that we may not be getting it right in the years that we presented in this draft, but we have alternative suggestions. I think you're, what else did we need to know?
The state, the role of the state in deference to.
Right. We can, our draft does have, the standard is a state judge. And I think I and Fred and I both went to lengths to assure you that this does not end our relationship with states, by no means. We think that their participation is important, and we intend to continue under both the special master and any rule going forward to continue that spirit of cooperation between the government, the state and federal government. We hear you. We believe that action giving rise to a cause under state law is important. We'll take that back. But by no means do we propose to end our relationship with states. We believe investigations and evidence that an AG could supply to us in any sort of proceeding that we undertake would be important. Would be important part. But I want to reassure you of that. I think that's it, but if not, let me know. Intent, you know, again, that's a hard one. You have a borrower come in and say, school didn't end the program, it promised me, what might the school have done for you? After the school may get, you may want to take this from the spread, so I don't get myself in trouble. I'm not a lawyer. But I think, again, if we're weighing the circumstances, the department doesn't take action lightly. And you shouldn't, well, you work here, so I think you know. We are very much in weighing factors. We don't make rash decisions. We try to do things rationally and for the right reasons. So we would be very, and I think we said as much in the original rates. We're not looking to be anything but rational and go forward with a procedure and a process that provides due process for everything.
I believe there's been litigation about schools closing programs down. And if I remember, the premise has often been that in the catalog they say, you know, we reserve the right, etc. And I'm assuming with that there is a refund appropriate to the circumstances. So I think that's been kind of dealt with so that if they shut a program down, they're going to give the person their money back. I don't expect that to be an unreasonable proposition. As to an intent standard, we're looking at what's already there. And what's already there does not require intent. One of the very first bar defense situations we had was negligent misrepresentation, which was a cause of action under South Dakota law, as I recall. We said, well, at the very least, they made a negligent misrepresentation. So the symmetry is, well, if it's something the school would be independently vulnerable to, we're not doing anything new by saying that risk is already there, it counts here. There's no gap that says only if it's intentional, which would be an extremely difficult standard to meet. We're just saying this is the risk the school already faces under existing law. We're just saying if it's viable, the claim is viable, or the most innocent, we ran out of money, so we didn't give you the new computer that we said you would get at clock hour 200. Well, it's a breach of contract. Okay? That's not impossibility of performance. It's just that you ran out of money. So we'd say, well, no, that shouldn't count here. It's a distinction that doesn't exist right now. We don't want to build it into either the misrep or the, it obviously relates to whether the department would bring fine action, but as to whether this is a consumer claim under recognized legal principles right now, it is.
Okay. Noah?
I guess there was one other question. I think it might have sounded like I answered for it, but I guess I am curious whether and I noticed Fred actually referenced when he's talking about the way it is now and not having to go back on that. And that was total law, negligent application of state law. My question was, is it the intention of the department to make a standard that encompasses the broadest protections of states? In other words, being from, let's say, California, where there might be a higher standard than other states, are we looking at a federal standard that would necessarily restrict those rights that are available under state law? Or is the intention to capture all of the violations that would have been?
Well, let's just say we're trying. I think misrep goes a long way towards meeting your concerns, along with state judgments and breaches of contract. I have not personally compared other states' laws to the misrep rates. But again, we did use the activity standards, which we think were pretty good. And we went over it again in 2010 to ensure that we captured what we thought was important in terms of institutions of higher education. So I can't tell you that what we're presenting is going to meet every state standard of 50 states. Whatever they're called. Territories that are. But it's certainly our intent for our standard to capture the vast majority that are going to come in to us with regard to educational services.
So when in this process would we find out whether it was enough to capture all of that?
As a student who's doing analysis of good research, I mean, is that what you want us to do?
No, I guess the point is I think that there's an awful lot left to the later discretion of the department. While we definitely appreciate the discretion we've exercised in the past, the point is for us as legal services lawyers, what we look to in order to enforce rights is regulations. And not sort of this discretion makes that very difficult, particularly if tomorrow Fred and Gail are replaced by Vladimir Putin. Whoever. In other words, no disrespect intended, but
Sounds like we already have.
but I guess my point is to the extent that we're saying, you know what, that's your intent, we trust you guys to figure it out. That's not something I think we can do for our constituency. We would like to see that if there is going to be an incorporation of the most stringent state standards, we'd like to see that incorporated into the actual regulation.
Becky?
I'm going to go back to the statute of limitations. So there's been the question of why is it important, what's sort of the logic behind it. And I think that what I'm hearing a little bit is the reason why it might be important for schools and for the department. I'm not sure that I'm hearing why it's important for the borrower to have a statute of limitations, except maybe to the point of evidence is fresher earlier on. But I don't know that statute of limitations is really how you get to that. I mean, I think there's ways you can encourage those borrowers to come forward as soon as they can. But I am very concerned about taking away, I guess, their rights so early on. And so I guess I'm not sure that I still know why statute of limitations is important, at least from a borrower perspective. Dennis?
I didn't think I'd say this, but I want to echo actually. I want to echo what Noah said.
that's actually the next set of sections.
Oh, no,
is the process.
Right.
So I'm hoping we can hold off until we get an introduction to that.
Sure. I'm not meaning to stray into that. The point is, I think that it is important for all of these things, my issue is intent, that we need to have it spelled out, because it's not necessarily going to be the department making the call, right? It's gonna be, not could be, it's gonna be somebody else, somebody who's doing a job. And again, when the borrower is asserting their claim, and it is, and completely right for them to do so, they are going to do so aggressively, right? Any litigant would do that, very aggressive in trying to push the envelope. No, I want my money, right? Is what they view as the money. Those prudential concerns that animate so much of the department's work, just not there. Not present.
I was wondering if in the department's view, enforcement actions that it takes under the substantial misrepresentation standard against schools would serve as relevant precedent for what that regulation means for whether a borrower is entitled to defense. Even, it seems to me, well, can you make those decisions available to us? Is there, have you taken enforcement action on substantial misrepresentation against a school where we could look, or have you considered and rejected claims where we could look? Is that something that you could provide?
We took a $31 million fine action against them. So, yeah. But perhaps more to your point, we didn't necessarily say, oh, we haven't issued a fine action, so we don't know anything about this school. We're getting into something that we're not talking about yet, probably, which is where we would take into account, obviously, whatever we know. It's different than saying we will undertake a national security investigation when we get the first complaint. But obviously, if we're making the case and we say, gee, we found X, Y, and Z, they're really on our radar, of course we would take that into account. Is there a way to say, and regulation here requires the department to do that unless it justifies, in writing why it didn't? No. But yes, we would take it into account.
It seems like the regulation is functioning and serving the department for when it's wearing its enforcement hat. And that there might be different considerations that come into play when you're talking about whether a student has established that they have a defense against their loans. And I think that's especially true if currently the only way that regulation is functioning is in the enforcement box. And so, I'm sorry, are there other ones aside from the $300 million fine action that we should look to understand?
I think we explained in the first session, we haven't used it in a consumer-facing arena. Just like we didn't do much to interpret, so we have zero familiarity with state law going back over the past 20 years. So it hasn't been something we've been living with, it's been something we haven't paid attention to. So, we can't point to anything.
You haven't paid attention to your substantial misrepresentation?
Really?
No, I think that's sort of an open statement. The first fine action for misrepresentation to students that I'm aware of was the Corinthian. So there aren't a history of these going back saying what the department considers to be a misrepresentation to students that we're going to bring a fine action for. It hasn't happened. So we don't have a wealth of case law, if you will, or precedent saying when it reaches this point, that merits a fine.
So again, you want to jettison the state law where there is precedent developed over decades in favor of sole reliance on substantial misrepresentation, which you haven't had cause to interpret. Am I understanding that correctly?
We're proposing what we're proposing here. We would take the words in the misrep. We'd obviously assess whether there was injury, but yes, that's what we're proposing.
Okay, I'm gonna call we're gonna pick up process tomorrow. We may start with issue 5 tomorrow, if the right people are here. If not, we'll pick up here on these. It's about 4:30. We've got 16 people signed up for public comment. I'm hoping that we'll get all of those in by 5, but it may go over a little bit, and I apologize for that if that happens. If people need to leave at 5 because you've got some commitment, we'll understand that. But we'll, if we do go till 5:15 or so, again, I apologize in advance, but let's turn to public comment. And is there a mic? Is there someone with a mic? Microphone? Okay, so I'm gonna call people and ask them to come forward to give their, are you filming this?
Periscoping, I'm sorry.
What's it?
Periscoping, I'm sorry.
What does that mean?
It's
Broadcasting.
broadcasting.
It's public. It's a public meeting.
It's a public meeting, so.
Okay, I just want everybody to know that we're periscoping. That's new information for us. Okay, so we have, Nicole Alon. Okay, so I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your name. Please restate your name and where you're from, your affiliation. Thank you.
Good morning. Wow, that's loud. My name is Nicole Elam with ITT Educational Services, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to be very brief and just correct a number of inaccuracies that were made in a memo that was distributed by one of the negotiators. And we think it's important to correct the record because we think that this negotiation should be based on facts, not out of context facts, not unsubstantiated allegations or unsubstantiated student stories, but it should be based on facts. And so with that in mind, there was a memo distributed that said that ITT Tech was the subject of a DOJ investigation. What it does not say is that DOJ investigation was closed and that the DOJ refused to join a whistleblower lawsuit. It also goes on to say that ITT was suspended by the state of California, its GI benefits. What it does not say is that after the state of California was sued for illegally suspending GI benefits, they lifted that after a judge looked at the facts. It also says that the default rates are high. Again, we believe that context matters, and we serve a demographic that's a non-traditional student demographic. It's the same demographic as community colleges, and while we're constantly striving to improve our cohort default rates are 18.8%, and community colleges 2-year programs are 19.1%. So again, we think context matters. So before there are these facts made about investigations, we think that context matters. Before there are statements made about default rates, we think context matters. I could go on and on about other statements that were made in other memos, but in the interest of time, stop right there.
Thank you. Maureen? Maureen Budetti?
I'm Maureen Bedetti from NICU, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to bring a number of copies of our financial responsibility report tomorrow for those of you who would like to look at them. It was a study of two years in length, and we think it should have some bearing. We had asked the department a long time ago to have negotiated rulemaking or something to look at this, and that didn't happen. So we're concerned about the radical changes that have been proposed in this context, and I'm surprised it's coming up again so soon tomorrow, but there are a lot of things that concern us about that, and I will bring the reports.
Thank you. Amy Schneider?
Hi, my name is Amy Schneider. I was enrolled at the Illinois Institute of Art in Schaumburg from 2007 to 2010. I was lied to during recruitment, where my mother and I were shown falsified career placement statistics and told things about the school and my future prospects that were not true. If I had received the truth, I would never have enrolled at an EDMC campus or signed a master promissory note for unknown amounts that eventually totaled nearly $30,000. and my mother wouldn't have signed the master promissory note for an unknown amount of plus loans, which ended up at over $78,000. We were never told about the FFELP loans. The paperwork we signed said William D. Ford Direct, yet we both ended up with FFELP loans after the school authorized more money to be taken out in our names without ever informing us that they were. Together, our ledgers show several $1,000s in loans we allegedly received stipends for but never did. I can't get married or purchase a home. My credit has been destroyed. I can't get a job with my degree despite graduating with honors because employers know that the school does not teach students to industry standards. After working hard for my mom's entire adult life, she deserves to be able to retire, but these loans are preventing that. EDMC was able to restructure their debt, but we can't. But my situation isn't even unique. This is a systemic issue. Students I was in school with are in similar situations, struggling more after college than before we had enrolled, putting our lives on hold due to unfair debts that should not exist when the fraud is as well documented as it is. In November, EDMC settled a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit for pennies on the dollar without having to admit guilt, which has allowed them access to a continuous stream of taxpayer-funneled money. I joined the debt collective last year and learned that students from other for-profit schools echo our stories. It is unfair for students and their parents to be stuck with huge debts from for-profit schools that have been investigated and sued for fraud. Our consumer rights were stripped away from us through forced arbitration hidden in fine print in the enrollment agreements that we were rushed to sign. These clauses don't exist elsewhere in higher education, only at for-profit schools. To continue to make us wait for debt cancellation is unjust. To set a statute of limitations for claims is unjust. To deny reprieve for federal family education loans and plus loans is unjust. Our lives cannot wait. I am here to demand debt cancellation for myself, for my mother, and for the tens of thousands of other defrauded students who have lost hope for a future of financial stability. You have the power to give us back our futures. You need to cancel all of the debts obtained for a fraudulent for-profit education system that the department itself is profiting from. It is time for you to do the right thing and cancel our student debts and cut off funding to these predatory institutions for good. And as far as for-profits serving a certain subset of students, I find that offensive. I was actually accepted at several state colleges and reputable schools. My testing on my placement statistics for college were very high. I chose EDMC because their placement statistics told me that I was going to have a 96% chance of getting hired, which was not accurate.
Joseph White.
Hello, my name is Specialist Joseph White, and I served in the Missouri Army National Guard from 2005 to the present. I am a member of the Debt Collective. I graduated from ITT Technical Institute with an Associate of Applied Science and a bachelor's degree in software engineering. I am here to say a very small statement about why my debt from this for-profit school is fraudulent. I owe $165,000 in student loan debt. Just take that into account. I owe $165,000. It's about as much as a house. They were not transparent about my financial aid, and they never told me that a portion of my student loans were private student loans. They never even told me. They never provided me with the adequate exit counseling before graduation. In addition, I was advised that I would have to pay $5,000 out of pocket to graduate, and I funded a portion of my bachelor's degree through state tuition assistance. As of now, I still do not know where that state tuition assistance money went to. As for job placement assistance, I was only given ads from Monster.com. Not very helpful. And I was also led to believe I would have an earning potential of 6 figures as a junior level programmer. The educational quality was not sufficient, and I'm not working in my career field. The curriculum was not sufficient as one instructor misaligned his ethics course to preach an anti-evolutionary curriculum. and my programming instructor just assigned small chess and card games to compile. I want to thank you all for your time to listen to me, and if you have any additional questions or concerns, I'll be here to answer them. Thank you.
Sanders, Barbaras. Again, sorry if I mispronounced. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Sanders Fabre. As a former student of the Art Institute, I am one of millions of students who have now been victimized by bad actors in for-profit higher education. But they are more than that, simply bad actors. They are con artists, crony capitalists, corporate criminals. They have deceived and exploited the students and taxpayers of this nation, and the recent EDMC settlement illustrated there is nobody in Washington either willing or able to truly hold them accountable for it. I find it impossible to believe that Mr. Duncan's rhetoric that you are cracking down on these institutions to protect the students and taxpayers when you are considering an individualized review process, not including Pell loans and enforcing a statute of limitations. Each month, my wife and I pay over $1,000 toward our debts from the Art Institute for degrees and a program that proved to be absolutely worthless. Degrees from school that lied to us about its legitimacy. We live paycheck to paycheck, and up to this point, we have been paying our debt solely in the hopes of preserving our credit score. But for what? With this debt over our heads, we will never be able to afford a new house, a new car, many of the things that having good credit can afford you. So I ask you, what reason do we have when you so clearly are not acting in the best interests of students that we were defrauded to not go on a debt strike? I don't want to go too much into my personal story, but I need you to understand we are examples of trying to do everything by the book, paying in good faith. Our loans were originally a combined amount of $103,000. To this date, we have paid almost $100,000. Due to the high interest rates, we will still have to pay $158,000 towards these loans before they are paid off in 2036. We will be in our late 50s, most likely with very little savings for retirement, all for a degree from a school that lied to us, a degree that is widely deemed to be absolutely worthless and we never profited from. Why should we and others like us not join in debt strike when doing so seems to be the only action which gains your attention? To continue complying with a system that supports fraud, that continues to create new victims, seems wrong. To continue to pay so much each month for degrees which are worthless, degrees that we now know to be the product of fraud, does not seem logical. I graduated in 2006, and although I considered the education there to be severely lacking, I had never heard of anyone suing a school. You just get through it, enter into the downturn economy, and use your subpar training to try to find a great job despite it. Even if I did try to sue within 2 years after, please show me cases where students sued for-profits through arbitration and won. Can you count them on one hand? To enforce the statute of limitations on those victimized seems wrong. I simply do not understand how an individualized process for debt cancellation is even being considered. I refuse to see how anyone should have to pay back any debt that was a result of attending a fraudulent school. This debt is the product of corrupt organizations lying to the public and exploiting taxpayers. It should be discharged immediately for all those that they made victims of. Fraud is fraud. Individual cancellation would be grossly unfair to the student victims, since it would require them to again place their trust in a system which has already failed them. Why should we truly trust, that you have our best interests in mind when you have been allowing this to go on for so long, profiting off the debt yourselves? How do you expect people who are already deep in debt to finance decent counsel to represent them? The only thing that you could possibly do to reestablish any sort of trust would be to discharge all debt that was created by attending these schools. The Art Institute, ITT Tech, the University of Phoenix, DeVry, Westwood, Everest, too many schools to mention in the time allotted. How many more lawsuits and investigations must be conducted? How many more citizens of this country will be allowed to be exploited and deceived before someone actually stands up and has the guts to do something decisive about it? So I guess the real question is, who do you really serve? If it is the citizens and students of the United States of America, then I ask, what is their trust worth to you? Are you willing to take steps that may not be the easiest steps, but steps that would bring justice to millions of students like myself? Thank you.
Elise Zachary.
Hi, my name is Elise Zachary. I'm here by the way of Cleveland, Ohio. And of course, I'm not sure what you heard about it, but I'm not here to burn my degree. I attended ITT Tech 8 years ago in hopes of getting my career started in computer forensics. I was about 24 at the time. I attended a traditional university but had to take a break due to the increasing cost of education, and they decreased my financial aid due to my parents making more money that year. So I had to wait till I was legally able to claim independence on my FAFSA. I was working full-time at night. I have a love of computers. I'm also nosy. I figured, why not go to school and put those skills to work and make a career out of it? So I started off at ITT Tech online because of my work schedule, and it seemed pretty convenient. The financial aid process seems pretty easy, extremely easy that I don't really remember most of it. Nonetheless, I was able to start classes. Soon enough, I began to miss the feel of the classroom, and I felt that I wasn't getting what I needed online. I transferred to the campus in Strongsville, a suburb of Cleveland. Again, the process seemed easy enough, except I had a unmet need. I believe it was for a couple thousand at the time. They allowed me to sit in class with my unmet need with a temporary credit. By then, my credit was shot because I obtained a car loan at the age of 19 and had to charge off a credit card. I was unable to pay back at the time. I do not live beyond my means. I was just clearly not educated on how a credit card works. I didn't know that at the time that you could just pay the minimum amount of stuff. You just always have to pay the entire amount off at each month. Back to ITT Tech. By that time, my credit was damaged, but was in repair because at the time I had got a job with decent pay. My experience in class was more of a high school refresher. Classes that were offered often felt unnecessary, and some that I could test out of, which I was not made aware of until after I sat into the class, and I had to be forced to take the class, and thus incurring more fees that I could have just skipped that class and went to the next level. Nothing was really ever clear at ITT Tech. I was called into the office one time to sign loan papers. They magically found a servicer that would actually loan me money. It's by the name of Peaks Private Loans. They borrowed They borrowed $15,000 on my behalf at a 14% interest rate. At the time, I thought that wasn't bad, as I paid 18% on my credit cards before. Thought it was a good deal. This touches on a hot button issue of systematic racism. What I've come to learn is that is an extremely high rate. I've had rates as high as 24% and a credit card offer at 60%. That was prior to the Dodd-Frank Act. The lowest rate that I have currently is 6% on my credit or my consolidated loans. Schools like ITT Tech prey on people of color who in turn who try to gain employment and are rejected due to the useless degree. I found out a for-profit school is the highest number of a bachelor's degree of Black Americans. For-profits carry more debt than the traditional school. Back to my experience. I was charged $400 for an external hard drive that at the time would only cost $150, if that high. That's just on the high end. Another time I had to withdraw from school due to personal reasons, and then I ended up re-enrolling. When I withdrew, I had already obtained textbooks. So when I went back, they forced me to take, again, the same textbooks. I told them I already had it, but instead, take them anyway, you already paid for them. So that's more cost. Everything was always in a rush. If I didn't sign, I would be kicked out of school. Another instance was another unmet need that I had. I don't remember why. It was under $500, but Peaks Private Loan, their lowest that they would allow you to borrow is $1,000. So they said they would just borrow me $1,000 and pay it back. Never paid back. So, sorry. Currently, I am 30 to 35 in debt, nothing to show for it. I don't have a degree because I decided to step down because I found out that my credit credits didn't transfer, and a lot of places did not honor their degree. I felt cheated. I didn't know what to do, because I just signed papers, and I guess I just had to, own up to it. A month or two ago, I found out about the defense degree payment. So after 6 years of unrolling, I'm just now finding out about this. So I'm hearing about the grace period. I don't think that's fair, because a lot of people are unaware of these provisions that are in place now that you can actually fight. Why am I here today? It's because I want more transparency. I also feel like my loan should be discharged. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I demand a full discharge, as this school violated many people with their misleading stories and numbers of people employed. An example, I received an email stating that I was contacted for a job offer for $5,000 a month, paying $5,000 a month, and that all I had to do was take some classes, and I would be paid. So I clicked on the link out of curiosity, and it went directly to an ITT Tech page. Spam.
Karen Clark. Hi, I'm Karen Clark, and I'm from Connecticut. I thought it would be a good idea to get a degree from, came from Kaplan University and University of Phoenix. I thought it would be a good idea to get a degree in psychology at the University of Phoenix. I saw ads on television for school. The ads promised that I would get a good degree online in a short period of time, and that a degree would increase my income. Once I inquired about the school, I got endless phone calls every day, pressuring me to enroll. They said I could finish my degree more quickly and easily than at a regular school. I needed to go to school and earn a sufficient amount of money. I was told University of Phoenix recruiters that they would help me get a job after graduation, but that did not take, but all they did was take my money. I recently learned that the school is under investigation. They rushed through the process of signing me up for loans. Someone called me and talked me through the financial aid process, but they didn't tell me how much I would really pay until I was already in class 2 to 3 months later. At one point, I had to take a medical leave and my student loans were revoked. And now the school tells me that I owe them $2,000 and they have me in debt collections. I'm here to tell you that these schools prey upon students, and I am joining others to fight back until we get our debt canceled. I wonder why the DOE will continue funding schools knowing it is under investigation. And why is my over $50,000 degree not worth the paper it is printed on or the mail that they sent it in? The schools are scamming people, and the DOE is sitting back and let it happen. I'm here to say that we will not quit until the DOE does what is right, and that's relief of our debts. I am tired of the underhanded flim-flam that is going on with these for-profit colleges. I am here to stay, and you best believe I'm not going away.
Do you know where the papers and more? I know she said she has it.
Daniela Dorner.
Hi, I'm Daniela Adorno. Both my husband and I, Jonathan, attended the culinary program at the Art Institute of New York between 2007 and 2008. Combined, we owe over $50,000. When my husband and I both decided we were ready to expand our education, we started to search colleges and were aggressively targeted by a ton of ads from the Art Institute. You could not click a Google page and not find the Art Institute anywhere. They have their hands in everything. Their advertising is so strong. There was little to no information on AI. Back then, as there is now. After requesting a brochure, we were bombarded by calls almost immediately. We would get about 3 to 4 phone calls a day, constantly. We didn't have time to talk. They'd call us back in 5 minutes and wait. We were told education would enrich our lives by our admissions advisor. She used words like diploma, which was a certificate, accreditation, saying they were the only trade school accredited, saying that their credits were transferable, and they were the only trade school who had transferable credits. They said high starting salaries, upwards of 40K. For a pastry chef, that's not true. You start from the bottom, and you make maybe half if you're lucky. I'd be lucky if I could get it up above minimum wage. Just to say I have never helped
This
out.
phone's gonna die. I don't know if someone else wants to take over.
She told me it only cost me $26,652 for 9 months. She made it sound inexpensive. We were told we would have no problem getting a job because the placement rates were above 90%.
Job lady.
I just want to state that McDonald's burger, living on burger, is not a chef meal. That's not true. We were told we would have tons of educational opportunities, like traveling abroad to study, going to Europe, competitions, and help from career services, including job placement and fighting for fair wages. After going in, the whole process felt rushed. They insisted the school would change my life. It certainly did. Within the first month of our attending, we found out the program was shutting down. We weren't given any options, just assured that our education quality and opportunities would remain the same. Immediately after the news, more than half of the faculty left, including the head of the culinary department. It was after seeing the faculty disperse and the students dwindle that I began to feel like something was amiss. I didn't feel confident in what I was learning. Oftentimes, after receiving basic instructions and small demos, the teachers would go work on their own personal projects, like funding their own catering through the cost of our tuition. We paid for food. The chefs were using the money that we paid for to fund their own personal businesses. My husband and I both completed our programs, and to this day, he still hasn't received his diploma. He's requested his diploma about 3 to 4 times, constantly through email, through phone calls, going in person, never got it. Months passed and I couldn't find a job in my field. Suddenly my grace period was up, and within the first year, I would log in and find my loans being broken down and sold to other lenders without any notification. I wasn't aware they could do that. I lost track of who to pay. I also discovered I had not only a federal loan, but a private loan. Me doing my due diligence, I was only making payments to one lender, not knowing I had 2. I was distraught and overwhelmed. My starting pay at my job was $10 an hour. Again, not in my field. Costs in New York are very expensive. So I had $10 to still find a way to make rent, pay bills, decide whether I should pay my student loans or go hungry. I chose my loans because I wanted to preserve my credit. A lot of us can't afford to go back to school at this point. I have $26,000 in debt. I now have a son. I can't afford to take out more money to try to support him. My husband can't afford it. My husband's doing a high labor, high risk job, busting his butt, constantly over 40 hours a week. And what does he have to show for it? No diploma, a bad back, pulled tendons, damaged wrist, and what did it amount to? Nothing. We got absolutely nothing. I'm so happy that EDFC is sitting on my money. I'm so happy that the cost of my education and my life, that they're sitting pretty. Because now my husband and I are in poverty trying to raise our son. And we either had him now or we didn't have him ever. I have to put my life on hold. My husband has to put his life on hold. We'll never have a car. We'll never have a house. And the fact is, we deserve class 5 debt discharge. There's absolutely no reason. Fraud is fraud. If you steal a penny, you're still stealing. And this is unacceptable.
Alicia Stevens.
Hi. First of all, I'm here to represent a demographic that a lot of you probably don't see too much. And first I want to say I'm not here as a victim. I came here only to tell the story of what happened to me, and it was just a fact. It's not a victim story. I went back to school at the age of 59 in 2005. I was looking to improve my chance to get a better job with higher pay so I could have a good retirement. That didn't happen. Instead, I discovered I had been lied to repeatedly by Florida Metropolitan University, a Corinthian college. There were not many areas of business looking to hire FMU grads. There were no real job placement. They placed me into private loans without my knowledge, and they were not even regionally accredited. And I found out this when I finally got a job interview that I looked for on my own, because career placement said to me, here, go to Monster.com, go to Jobs.com, and I saw them sitting there, students cutting out ads from the Help Wanted news in the paper. I'm sorry, that's not my idea of career placement. Okay, I would never place anybody in a job that way. Okay, I found out, Corinthian, I was told at a job interview that with all the years of experience I had in my field, and I just went back to refresh, that they couldn't hire me because she had to take my resume before a board. And as soon as they saw Florida Metropolitan University, they wouldn't even accept it because they weren't regionally accredited. I mean, so my degree's worthless. Now I have $33,000 in debt, which I haven't been able to pay since I didn't earn enough money to make payments. It's been years of deferments and forbearances and now in zero IBR. So now I'm retired and I constantly worry that some rule change will mean that I no longer qualify for the relief that I need. That at any time I will get a letter saying that my Social Security would be garnished. I live on $914 a month. You try it. Okay? Garnishment would put me in dire straits. I may end up living in my 17-year-old car. And I'm not just angry at Corinthian because they screwed me. I hate to say it, but I'm just as angry at DOE. Because DOE is supposed to prevent schools from taking advantage of students. It was DOE, I found out later, that had been investigating Corinthian for years before I even enrolled. DOE allowed this to happen, and they have the right to fix it. All types of loans, including mine, which is a FEL loan, need to be forgiven across the board. Students shouldn't have to individually prove what the DOE already had. I mean, it would be different if you guys didn't already know this. Okay? You guys are as culpable as Corinthian. That is why I joined the Debt Collective last year. We are standing with students like myself to get the justice we deserve. The school and the agency monitoring the school failed us by their deception. Yet you sit here and you want us to trust you. I did nothing wrong. I just wanted a better opportunity. And I plan to continue fighting until either this matter is resolved or I die, whichever comes first. And since I'm 70, it could be pretty soon. And I would not prefer the first. I would really have it resolved first and not be like my best friend who also graduated from FMU with a master's degree, and 2 years ago, the only way her loan was discharged is she died from cancer.
Brittany Prock. Brittany Prock.
Don't make me cry again. Hi, my name is Brittany. I'm from Texas. I attended the Corinthian online campus with Brandon out of Tampa, Florida. I became involved with the debt strike in 2015 and continue to be a proud debt striker. I'm demanding a full student loan discharge and fighting back against the fraudulent debt that Corinthian has bestowed upon me and others like me. I'm a FELP borrower. I was not given a choice of what type of loan program the money came from. I was not given an option to choose between a FELP or direct. I'm demanding that FELP loans are included, as well as FELP borrowers are also given relief. I'm demanding that the loans that Corinthian took out under false pretenses in my name be discharged immediately and removed from my credit. Corinthian stole government money under my name and left me to fit the bill. They cold-heartedly and calculatingly destroyed my financial future, placing me in debt of upwards of $80,000, and thus impacting my children's lives and their futures as well. I faced a real hardship as a result of this bogus degree and insurmountable debt. I lost my job. I lost my home. My home went into foreclosure during my studies at Corinthian. They assured me that my degree would improve my circumstances. No, it didn't. It made them worse. I was promised great job placement in my chosen career field upon completion of my degree, a high quality of education, and a fast and hassle-free enrollment to start my education right away. That was the one thing that they wanted. They wanted me in there fast. So my expectations of these promises were high. As I was told before, starting Corinthians Everest, other students were highly sought after for job placements. That was lie. Corinthian students are looked down upon. They're rejected by many companies. I know this because I tried to obtain employment in my field of study and got turned down multiple times because the companies did not see Corinthian Everest as an actual accredited university. College and universities don't even look at transcripts from Corinthian colleges due to their focus at accreditations. I've tried to take my credits to other colleges and universities in hopes of starting a new field of study, but only to be told I would have to start over. The credits are no good and they will not transfer. And through all of this, I had no clue of what I was signing. Everything during the enrollment process and thereafter was done electronically. These schools have failed me as well as others to make sure that we, the students, had a clear-cut understanding of exactly what we were signing. I'm pissed because this school's responsibilities were to provide a clear-cut understanding. They did not do that. They just wanted me in there so they could get the money. I'm striking because of the lies, the fraud, the worthless degree I have, and for the future of my children. I'm striking to keep my children from becoming victims of this type of fraudulent crime.
Dawn Lewick.
Hi. All right, I'm nervous and I have really bad notes, so I'll do my best. Just a brief introduction. I am a former employee of for-profit schools. I worked for ITT Tech from 1999 till 2009 at 5 locations, the corporate office. I opened a brand new campus for them in Arizona. I was in recruitment, financial aid, and ended my career there as a director of finance. I was recruited to work for Corinthian College. I was their corporate finance manager for Heald, managing 12 campuses, over 17,000 records, and for 3 years.